What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. You know who this is. It's the dad bod god, baby, the bald, the beard, and the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, man, we got a special one for y'all. We got Kimber Lee in the house. But before we get into that, you know I need to take a quick pause to tell you about our sponsor, Sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS, Sleefs.com. If you or someone you know is an athlete, you need to go and check out Sleefs. They've got all your athletic wear and gear covered. They've got compression pants, compression shorts, headbands, boots, sleeves, headbands, and they've even got those dirty boxes that you always hear me raving about. Guys, let me tell you something. These dirty boxes are the most comfortable boxes that you'll find. They stay dry, they stay fresh, and they've got funky designs at the front of them to keep that special person in your life giggling at the end of the day when the belt buckle comes undone, if you know what I mean. But go and check out those dirty boxes. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount in your final purchase. Also, wherever you're finding us, I appreciate you for tuning in. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified, all that good shit. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. It helps with our analytics. It helps bring more amazing conversations to more amazing fucking people like yourselves. So tap the link and tap in so we can start delivering you some amazing conversations from professional wrestling, MMA, pop culture, you name it. We're having amazing conversations over here. So check them out. You're not going to be disappointed. But without further ado, let's get into my conversation with the one, the only Kimber fucking Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Kimber Lee, welcome to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Appreciate you giving up your time to come and talk to me this evening.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I got excited when I got the email. So
Thank you so much. Means a lot to hear that. But, welcome to the show. It's great to finally have you on here. You've been someone I've wanted to have on for a while. It's interesting. As I was doing a little bit of research about you, like I've always been an appreciator and enjoyed Combat Zone Wrestling's, style of wrestling over the years. Not so much near the recent years of the behavior that we've seen coming out of there and the things that came out during Speaking Out, but they have produced a lot of amazing talent. And I was actually interested to find out that you were actually the first female to graduate from that academy.
yeah, I was. It's definitely something I'm still honored that I was able to do. When I got there, it was really, really tough. And I had to do all the things that the guys were doing. They didn't take it easy on me at all. Drew Gulak being my main trainer, and he's a hard ass, as I'm sure all of you guys have seen. So he beat the shit out of me, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. A lot of things came out that weren't so great about CZW, and I have my own share of stories from my time there, but doesn't take away that there were good people there at that time. So I am thankful for the memories I have that are on the better side for when I was there. So yes.
Do you think the stuff that came out about them has affected the overall legacy of that company? Because I feel like they've been able to put on some amazing shows over their history, but I feel like near the last few years, even before Speaking Out, it was like what was once so great of having like this core amazing group of like independent workers to just having people really just sort of like coming in there just to sort of get the rub for working there, it almost looked like, and then going on. Like there was no real loyalty to that promotion after I think around 2010, 11, where it's like you didn't really see that core group anymore.
Yeah, that really was where the big switch happened, and I mean, it was management change was the biggest part of it,
Mm.
because right when I started is when DJ Hyde took over the company, which was 2009, and so 2010, you just see it kind of decline from that point, and it's sad because I mean, yeah, CZW is the uncensored and the over the top, but it held that niche for so long. It was kind of sad to see it go, but not to say that there isn't places that are holding up that standard now. Like GCW is the one that comes to mind now, and they're fucking
Mm.
fabulous. So let them take the reins and run with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. While you were there, like, did you have any? Because, like, I've heard a lot of experiences. Like last time, like I've had Dave Christ on this podcast a couple of times. He's verified certain things that were said where he was like, "What the hell?" Like, my wife works for you and all this sort of stuff. Did you experience any of that sort of stuff
Oh, are
firsthand
we
whilst you were
talking
there?
about that? I wouldn't hire anybody I wouldn't fuck. That was said to the girls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's real. That's real. Like
Yeah,
that's
Dave
absolutely a
Chris said
real
the
thing
same
that
thing.
was
He
said to
actually
us.
said to him, "He's like, what you're saying? You want to fuck my wife?" Like,
Yeah, no, that was I. It was something that was said to all of us, and it's terrible. I mean, at the time, I was a 19-year-old girl that didn't know how to react to that, and I was the only girl. There was no one to stand up for me. And so I got very protective of some of the girls that came afterwards. And it got to a point where I would yell at DJ and be like, you can't fucking say that to people. Like, yeah, I dealt with it, but you need to stop. And
do you feel like
didn't
it was
listen.
the way?
So
Do you feel like the way he said it was not like the way it was intended? Like, I'm not trying to find a defense here for his case, but
no,
like,
there's no defense. There's no
yeah.
defense.
No, no,
That's
but what I'm
what he
saying
meant.
is, okay, so he legitimately met it in a fucking skeezy ass way, basically.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he did. It's
Yeah.
I have experiences of going to other countries. I was the first female that they took on like the European tours. And so it was me and a bunch of dudes for 2.5, 3 weeks in other countries. And DJ would purposely book me in a room by himself with him. And I would never stay in that room. I would find somewhere else to go. And thankfully, um, things that were like different people who were on the tour that are like brothers to me.
Mm.
Gulak was there. They would like come in the room and like stay in there too, and so they would stay in the bed with DJ, and then there would be a cot, and I would be in the cot by myself. And so there were people there that were protecting me, but there were also people there that were not trying not to. And this is unfortunately a reality that a lot of females have had to go through in wrestling. And I hope it changes. It is changing,
Yeah.
but it's still got a long ways to go. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I think as well, like, I think speaking out only did a certain thing, but like you see, like, for speaking out, it's like people sort of like sat out by their time and then they like, you know what I mean? Like, you see people like creeping back into the industry and stuff like that. Is where it's like, is there a time limit on this kind of shit?
I don't. I mean, it's difficult because none of that behavior should ever be tolerated, and there needs to be consequences for people's actions. But I also do believe that people can change and people can learn
Mm,
and people can grow, and so that's where the line gets hard to figure out, is who's actually changing and making the effort to realize that their actions were not okay,
mm,
um, and who's just like, all right, I'm gonna ride this out and I'm gonna fake it until I can make it again.
yeah.
That's where it gets difficult because nobody's perfect. I certainly am not perfect. I'm not going to claim to be perfect. And we should all have the chance for redemption, I think. But then it's figuring out who's genuine and who's not, and that's where it gets hard.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think that that's the hardest thing about it is because when you look at it, it's like, people are always welcome to second chances. I've always said, like, when it comes to like cancel culture and stuff like that, if someone who's like 21 to 22 opens their mouth and says some ridiculous bullshit, like, I mean, like, is it worth canceling him, or is it worth just like someone who's a little bit more senior in the industry pulling him aside saying, come here, let me smarten you up about life and about a couple of things. Because it's like when you're 21 and 22, I still don't really think that you've mentally developed yourself as an adult, even though you're legally classified as an adult. But like, you got to think the dumb shit that would come out of your mouth at 21 or 22 compared to when you're 30 or 40, or like when
Mhm.
you've had that life experience, is completely different.
Well, I mean, that's totally true. It's scientific fact that our prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until we're 25 or over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when we're 21, and that's where our logic is. It's in that front lobe. And so, yeah, we're fucking idiots until we're like 30. I was a fucking idiot. I've done stupid shit. Like, one of the like greatest things that ever happened to me that I thought was like the worst thing in the world when it did is my Twitter got hacked at one point and I had to start from scratch. I lost everything, but I lost everything that was like 18-year-old to 21-year-old Kimber Lee. And I was like, actually, that's fine. That can just go get buried somewhere. So,
Exactly. It's like at least those skeletons can't come back and bite you in the ass later.
yeah.
So, but like I feel like that's the main part of it, is like when you are that age, you are going to make some stupid mistakes. You are going to say some fucked up shit, because it's like even today, it's like when you hear someone young talking, like like I sound so old when you hear some young person talking, but it's like when you hear someone from that age range talking and come out and say some ridiculous shit, like to other people around that age, they're just like, okay, yeah, you're dropping some knowledge. But to someone older, they're like, bitch, what? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and that's where it comes from, that maturity and that sort of that life experience and skills that you get over time.
And that, and well, and I think all of us being in wrestling from the time we're so young, I think that like stunts our growth even a little bit too. I've always heard that like you stay the age mentally that you get into wrestling at. And I've been like, yeah, I can see that in some
Yeah.
cases. So,
Well, it's a young person's game, really. You know what I mean? Like when
mhm.
you go 45 to 50, and if you're still grinding out and going from couch to couch, and doing indie shows with still the idea of making it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's a little bit of a detachment from reality in a lot of cases.
Yeah, no, I'm 32 right now, and I'm like, I hurt, man. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, bumping from 19, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. My body hurts. I've taken some time off finally. Finally, I'm getting ready to come back full time, but it's been nice to actually relax and let things heal for once in my life. So,
Oh, 100%. Like starting at 19 and being now 32, like you would have seen like a massive change in how women's wrestling has really been presented in professional wrestling, and really, and I feel like sports in general in society. Like I feel like women are being presented more at an equal level across many different sports at the moment. But like when you first got into it, like did you feel like what women's wrestling was like, like were you at that point going, well, this is what it is, this is what I've got to expect for the rest of my career? Or did you have the mindset going like, I want to be the one to change, or one of the ones to change this? I want to be one of the ones to take women's wrestling to the next level where people respect it more.
mhm. I came in guns a blazing. I want to wrestle dudes. Why do I have to wrestle girls? I don't care about wrestling girls. I have to train with the boys. Why can't I wrestle that? That's how I came in. Like
Yeah.
hot out of the gate. I want to be an intergender wrestler. Um, and so my whole plan from the beginning was women need to be respected the same way that the men are in this business. It's ridiculous that we're not, because we work just as hard. And when I started, like some of the first things I were told was don't get any tattoos, because I had like one tiny one when I
Mm.
started. I was told don't get any tattoos. You should think about getting a boob job. And like it's all about this for me is what I was told. My talent level didn't matter by some people. That was, I was getting that in one ear, but then Drew was like, nope, you're gonna, like, you better pick somebody up and start running, because we'd have to run with people in fireman's carry and run
Yeah.
laps, and he's like, you better find somebody, like, I don't care. um so it definitely, I've seen it go from that being what I thought I was going to have to deal with, to really watching some of those walls break down. And it's, um, women are truly getting a chance to be talented athletes, not just a showcase looky match. You know what I mean? I mean, aesthetics are always going to be a part of wrestling. It even is for the men. You can't say that it's not. The men shave their legs, the men tan, they oil
100%.
themselves up. Like, it's the same thing. Females are expected to have their hair done and their nails done and their makeup done to a T, and that's never going to not be a part of wrestling. That's what makes wrestling different from MMA and those sort of sports, is we are superheroes. They're actually getting punched in the face. I personally don't like actually getting punched in the face.
Not
That's why
many
I
people do.
professionally wrestle. So that's why I like professional wrestling. I watch MMA and I'm like, you guys are fucking crazy. I'm not doing it. And I come from a family of boxers too, and I watch them and I'm like, y'all are fucking crazy. uh, um, but then they watch me jump off the ring and they're like, you're fucking crazy. So I mean, it depends.
100%. Do you feel like
Um,
do you feel like the intergender style of things? Because I feel like that's now become like a huge thing. I did a podcast recently where I had like a male talent on saying like, hey, it wasn't really for him. He didn't like intergender wrestling. And he just said like, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like you can do it, but like have it at, don't just have an intergender match on the card for the sake of being on it. That guy got a lot of heat from being on my podcast about those comments. And like, I feel one of the things he said, which I rebutted, was he said it's not believable. Where I said, look, it's professional wrestling. Anything can be made to be believable. If two wrestlers are in the ring and something is not believable, that doesn't matter about their gender. It could be two men,
I'll
two women,
start
a man
right
and a woman.
here.
But let me finish. It's like,
Yeah.
if it's not believable, that's on the performers, regardless of the gender. Like, that's my take. It's like, I've seen intergender matches, which are great. I've seen, regular matches between two women and two men, which have been great. And I've seen the same pairings, but be shit. So
Mhm.
it's up to the workers. But
Oh
please,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I was gonna say, I'll start with this. If we're gonna talk about believability in wrestling, what the fuck is hitting the ropes?
Yeah.
Like,
Or the 10 punch up, standing up
yeah,
the thing. I
like,
never believed that.
whenever I hear that argument, I'm like, really? Like, we're really gonna try and talk about believability in wrestling? Like, it's like, I don't like the word fake, because what we do is not fake. It is predetermined, yes, but nothing we do is fake. And I've always described us as stunt athletes. So we're putting on a show, we're performing stunts for you in the way of kind of a melodrama with some sort of storyline to spin why we're it's like a live movie. And that's why my intergender argument is always, can you go to the movie theater and suspend your disbelief long enough to watch a Wonder Woman movie? If you can, wrestling's the same thing. We're just doing it live. That's all. It's I've been at wrestling shows where an invisible grenade has been thrown up in the air and everybody looks for it, and then it hits the ring and it explodes. Like,
100%.
intergender is really the thing that we're gonna harp on that's not believable.
You know what? Like, Kimberly, even if it's not believable, right? If it gets a pop, if it gets a reaction, and the audience is entertained and goes, "That was fucking good," does it really, like? Does it have to be believable all the time? Like, that's another side of the fence to it, right? Like, that's another way to look at it. It's like, if the people are entertained, do we really give a fuck? Like, if it
Right, exactly.
it's ridiculous.
And everybody has their flavor of ice cream. I happen to like hardcore matches. I like death matches. I
Mm,
like the gore and the guts. A lot of people don't, and that's cool. I also, R.I.P. Chikara, love what they did, and I love the super kid-oriented comic book,
mm,
weird, like, ice cream cones and ants. I love that too. I love both aspects of it. Some people really like the hardcore and hated what Chikara did. Some people really loved what Chikara did and hated the hardcore. I happen to like both. It's like flavors of ice cream. I like mint chocolate chip. A lot of people don't. It's cool. Go find your flavor of ice cream, but don't yell at people for enjoying something that you don't like. Just live and let live. All of the genres have a place. All of the categories in wrestling
mm.
have their niche. And if we all stop fucking around and trying to fight each other for space, there's space for all of it. And we could all work together and make it a lot better, in my opinion.
The jealousy in professional wrestling has
Hmm.
been around since the beginning of the time, and I
And
feel like
it's gonna be there forever, but, you know.
100%. But that's the thing. It's like you can have all these different genres of professional wrestling. And, I've heard both sides of the argument around the point as well. Like, I had a worker talk to me, like, not on the podcast, but at a show saying, he grew up in a household which saw his mum get the shit beaten out of him every single day when he was growing up. And he goes, mate, like, I didn't see my mum get back up. And he goes, I don't want to be in that thing. He goes, I know what professional wrestling is. It's a work and all that. He said, but I don't want to throw a work punch at a woman. Like, I don't want to do that because I've witnessed that. And he's like, and he asked me, he goes, does that make me a sexist? And I'm like, no. You know what I mean? He goes, well, that's what I would be labeled as if I said I didn't want to do it.
As somebody who has done a lot of intergender wrestling, I don't think that labels you as a sexist. There are traumas in different people's lives that's
Mm,
just not something you can do, and that's
yeah.
cool. I get it. I've personally been in terrible situations similar, and it's different to me.
Yeah.
But for some people it's not, and that's okay.
Mm,
And we shouldn't be criticizing people if they're like, look, that's just not my thing. That's okay. It doesn't have
mm,
to be your thing. And I get mad at like some of the women who get all uppity about that, and on the dudes who are like, I really just don't want to do this. They don't have to. Just like the women who don't want to wrestle a dude, they don't have to do it either. Lay off the boys, lay off the girls, let people do what they want to do.
mm.
That's
I mean, you
how
got to
I
let
feel
people
about it.
do yeah. I mean, you got to do what people are comfortable in doing at the end of the day. And it's like,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, if you go into like a wrestling match and you're not comfortable with how it's going to go down, then like, how is that going to become across to your audience? Like, that, you know what I mean? The
Or how
audience aren't going to buy it.
that, and if you're not comfortable, you're most likely going to get hurt. Anytime I've gotten hurt, it's been because something I'm like, you have to be like, nope, I'm doing it, and you have to be that sure. And if you're not, that's when injuries happen. And I have always told people, like, I even in matches with newer girls, I'll be like, I'm going to do this. Is that cool? And I'll see it in their face where they're like, yeah, that's okay. And I'm like, are you sure? I was like, if you don't feel comfortable, tell me. I'm not going to be mad. I was like, I'm a good worker. I have other things I can do. People who are like, well, that's my move. I have to do that. You're a shitty worker. Like, it's that simple.
100,
Like,
100%. But
period.
but also, like, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't feel comfortable in a situation. They'll just go along with it because they don't want to lose that spot. They don't, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
And
and that's the crazy thing. Like, I remember, like, because I work for companies doing commentary, ring announcing, managing stuff like that, and we had to film a an ad for an upcoming show. And the promoter goes, yeah, to me, he goes, I want this guy to hit you with a chair, but he's not going to be in the shot, but you're going to take the chair shot. And like, the person they wanted to do it was just a production person. I'm like, no. And he's like,
mm-mm,
what do you mean? No, I said, he doesn't know how to throw it. I don't know how to take it because I'm not trained. I'm not fucking doing it. He's like, but we're putting in this. I said, I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to put
yeah,
myself at risk. And I'm not going to put
exactly.
him at the thing where he's going to feel guilty about injuring me for doing something he doesn't know how to do and I don't know how to take. So sorry, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, flex your nose. Don't be afraid. Like, and me personally, I will never be upset because it presents a challenge for me to be a more creative performer. That's all.
Mm,
And if you are completely reliant on that one move and that's what's going to get you over, you got a lot of other shit to work on because that is not what's going to get you over.
one move will not get anyone over. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's so many different aspects that go into wrestling. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the things that get you over, it's not going to be a drop kick or a flying cross body. You know what I mean?
One of
Unless
the
you're a
biggest
referee and
things
doing it.
that people still come up to me and talk about is when I ate Brussels sprouts off of the ring. Like,
You ate Brussels sprouts off the ring?
long story.
I gotta hear this. I gotta hear. I gotta hear. I gotta hear.
So this picture just came up in my timeline recently. So,
Yeah.
but it was at a Rise show. It was me. I was wrestling with Sue Young as one of her like bridesmaids, and this is before any of the Impact stuff happened. It
Mm,
was like the precursor, I guess. But I was on like Team Sue, and then there was Team Wolf. Oh my god. Uh, but so like there were our two teams, and then I ended up getting choked with a like a bratwurst or something at one point while I'm stabbing a girl in the eye with a carrot. it was like vegans versus meat eaters is what this turned into.
I
And
love it.
then we had Brussels sprouts at one point, and I put like we tossed them on the ring like they were thumbtacks.
Yeah.
And then I yelled something along the lines of, "But wait, that's great nutrition!" And I got on the ring and started eating them.
I
And
think
there's a picture of me with Brussels sprouts hanging out of my mouth somewhere
But
on the
but see
internet.
that's what I mean. Like that's some entertaining shit. It's like you're never gonna see legitimately people fighting over on top of vegetables, but it's
I'm
entertaining.
I yelled something about carrots being good for your eyes before I start. Like, that's the fun stuff. That's what makes wrestling fun. Is the goofy shit, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And there's absolutely a place for the matches where it gets super serious and like, but the fun stuff is fun. That's it's nice to have the variety.
Well, I mean, the thing is as well, not everyone can come out and be like, I'm the big tough wrestler. You know what I mean? And be the badass, cool, motherfucker that
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like not if everyone on a card was like that, like, all right, after the second match, all right, what's next, man? Like
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? Like
Like,
you look at the exit.
yeah, like it makes it fun when things are different and like, yeah, it's how it should be.
How did you find your time at Shimmer?
Oh, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. Shimmer was like my like the superpower when I started. Like it was like the holy grail was that Shimmer title, and so the fact that I'm on that list of people who have gotten to be the Shimmer champion is insane to me. I didn't believe it until it was in my hand. Like I even when like I was in talks about it before it happened, like I was like, this is really gonna happen. But it I loved every minute of it, everything Dave has ever done for the women of wrestling. And it's sad. It's sad not getting that time because there's memories I have of Shimmer that I never like. I got to hang out with Aja Kong. Like what? Like,
Yeah.
like just crazy like events in my life that only would have happened through that company, and it truly was a blessing for women, and I'm sad that some of the younger women may not get to experience that. So
Yeah, and I think that like what Shimmer did was really highlight, women's wrestling at a time where like women's wrestling was like, you know what I mean, like not really being like shined upon from like a major spotlight sort of thing. And I think that it was like one of the catalysts. I think of really putting giving a showcase for not just like women from the United States, but they brought in women from Australia, the UK, all around the world, and really showcase some of the best female presenting people in professional wrestling.
hey, Triple G was like one of my favorite feuds I ever had. Speaking of Aussie, it's Kelly Skater.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh man, that was so much fun. I'm pretty sure at one point Kelly beat me with a like gumball machine at the Shimmer venue.
jeez.
Um, and then dragged Cherry Bomb and I into the back by our feet, kicking and screaming. That was a good one. That was a good one with Tamika. I miss Tamika too. Love her.
How did you find tagging with Cherry Bomb, aka Ali?
Oh, so much fun. We were again played the goofy heel character, which is kind of my favorite. I love being like a chicken shit. Like our big thing was I would always go, "Bombs, I've got an idea." It would never work. I would always get her hurt. Like it was one of my favorite things to do. Like and people loved us for it. And I definitely miss tagging with her. I would love to revive it at some point. Who knows? You never know what
Yeah.
could happen. So
100%. And like, you also spent a bit of time in Chikara as well. That was another company that got called out for a lot of stuff. Mike Quackenbush. He always seemed like Mike always comes across like I've never spoken with him, but like from things that I've seen of him in previous interviews he's done, he comes across as a very quirky kind of guy. How did you find working for Quack and also like working for Chikara?
I personally have zero bad experiences with that company, and I have zero bad experiences with Mike. He gave me opportunities that nobody else did. He um believed in me fully. He Yes, in his interview, like, just the way he speaks and the way that's just Mike. Like,
Yeah,
I
like
don't
he
think
comes across like very like I am a like like I don't want to say it in a rude way, but it's like he comes across very like I don't know the way to explain it.
snobby.
Yeah,
Because when he
like
comes,
just very like
like
you don't know if he's being a
he's got
fucking
an air of arrogance about him when you don't know him.
yeah.
I definitely, because I felt it too when I didn't know him. But once you get to know him, he's just a weird guy who's socially awkward and never really figured that out. Um,
Which
but
surprisingly
he
enough, you see a lot of people like that in professional wrestling.
Yeah, a lot. Like for some reason we can like turn on this switch when we're in front of people, but I have like horrible social anxiety, and you'd never know it because I grew up a ballerina and was on stage from the time I was 2 years old, and then went right into wrestling, and like being in front of people with lights on me, that's where I'm comfortable. I can do anything on that stage. You put me in a situation where I have to talk to somebody face to face, and I'm like super like I don't know what to do with my hands.
Just heaps like withdrawn from it, right?
Yeah, it's totally different, and that's a lot of us. And I know like other people have gotten heat for saying that they didn't have problems with Chikara, but I truly didn't have problems with Chikara.
Mm,
And uh did I are there things Mike did in his past that were shady and crappy? Yeah, I've heard about it. There was, but he by the time I got there and worked there, none of that was happening anymore, and he had changed a lot from what I had heard. And in the situation where something happened with somebody who was working there and stuff, and this was right before speaking out, there was a particular person who was a trainer there that a lot of horrible things came out bad about. And
mm,
I got a personal phone call. Like, I didn't even know what had happened really yet,
yeah,
because I wasn't one of the people involved, and I was, again, that was a person who treated me completely differently than apparently he was treating a lot of other people.
yeah.
Um, and but I still received a personal phone call from Mike where he talked to me and he made sure I was okay and said, "Did anything ever happen to you?" And I'm pretty sure he called every single person on the roster that day.
Wow.
Um, so it hurts. It hurts that Chikara is gone. That was a family for me.
Mm,
In a way, a lot more of a family for me than CCW was towards the end. And I'm still very close to a lot of people that were on that roster to this day. And it definitely left a hole in my heart that that company disappeared. But things happen for a reason. I can't say it didn't happen for a reason.
yeah.
And it sucks, but it doesn't mean we can't move on from this. And like I said, I can't speak ill of people when they didn't do anything to me. So I don't have any bad experiences. For me, it's just more
Mm.
the hurt of knowing that that stuff did happen there in a place that I love so much. So
Yeah, and it's unfortunate as well because it's like I feel like for most cases when someone when a bunch of people get their pitchforks out and they're ready to start pillaging and someone goes, yeah, I didn't have that same experience as you, like I didn't see that from your perspective, you know what I mean? And then it's almost like what? And then they turn around, they've got the pitchforks and they're pointing at you as part of the problem, where it's hard because I feel in the same sense, if you didn't experience that, you didn't witness that, jumping on a bandwagon just to sort of go along with it doesn't really do anyone any good.
mhm. No, it doesn't. And like I've said stuff on the internet that I probably should have kept to myself in recent years, and it is what it is. And we all do it, and we all jump on bandwagons, and emotions get to us and shit happens, but we also need to learn to forgive. Like, more than anything, forgiveness is what this world needs in general. I'm getting like philosophical now on you towards the end of this, but
No, not at all. But you're 100%
like,
right. But
like
like, like I've had people on that were called out during the speaking out and have done some sketchy shit. I had one guy here in Australia that did it, and like I feel like I gave him an opportunity to really sort of like say like just to give his count on it, And the thing that he came across was, oh, it was a joke. And my response was like, bro, like, come on, I'm 40 years of age. Like, you don't sit here. And I said, I've seen the fucking screenshots, and it was only a joke when she wasn't picking up what you were putting down. And I said, admit what it was. You, a moment of weakness, you saw an attractive female, you shot your shot, and you did it in a creepy ass fucking way, and it backfired on your ass. That's what you need to fucking say. You know what I mean? Like,
fuck up. That's the thing. Like, fess up to it. Like, that's what you got to do. Like, and for me, it was more of like, I was fucking pissed with some shit that had happened to me, and I was being told one thing and then having something show up at my door that was completely contradictory to what was being told to me the whole weekend. And so I kind of fucking vomited all the bad shit I had on somebody onto the internet. Was it all true? Yes. Should I have done it in that way? Probably not. And I admit that, and I admit that I am not perfect, and that in my personal life, I have not done the greatest things myself at certain points, but I have also had some horrible shit done to me, and I'm not going to stand down from that.
sure.
But I've certainly had my fair share of people coming at me with pitchforks, and that's okay. And I will die on my pitchforks if I have to. But
Sure.
I am not unwilling to say that, yeah, I probably should have presented information in a different way, and for that I am sorry. But
I feel like that's the thing though. It's like sometimes when with social media, we have so much access to reach so many people with social media. And it's like when you get emotional, and I've been guilty before where I feel like I've been wronged and I've gone, you know what, like fuck this, I'm gonna call some shit out on social media. Sometimes I've gone, you know what, I probably should have handled myself differently from that sort of situation, but it isn't. Now I'm assuming we're talking about the situation that happened like last year with your ex-partner Nash Carter, correct?
correct.
So look, I saw a lot of that coming out, and I've always been like, and I saw a lot of people have some comments on either side where they were sort of attacking him, attacking you. I always look at stuff like that, whereas like no one's ever really going to know the real like truth of the situation. Almost like there's always going to be like this person's side, this person's side, and there's always going to be like the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. Because, and I'm not saying because like one side is going to be lying and the other side is going to be lying, but people's memories of certain things can sometimes be a little bit askew or maybe a little bit embellished. But like what I wanted to ask for you at that of the point of when you sort of put that stuff out on social media is like where were you mentally at with it? Like, you know, obviously you were, you know, very hurt at the time, you know, emotionally with it, but where were you like mentally at? Like were you at a point of just like losing your shit completely? Like where were you at when you sort of started to go down that road of opening up about it?
I mean, something I also haven't talked about too much that I did last year was mental health has been a struggle for me for a long time. I've talked about how I am bipolar. One of my best friends, rest her soul, who's on my arm, Daphne, also was somebody who's bipolar, and her and I, that's one of the reasons we had connected so much. I've struggled with it for a lot of years. I've been on medication, off medication, off my shit, on my shit. I've struggled with alcohol for a lot of years. I'm going to struggle with alcohol for the rest of my life. It's part of who I am. It's not something I'm unwilling to talk about either,
Sure.
because I think these are certain things that too many people hide, and nobody's perfect. A lot of people are struggling with the same things that I'm going through, but they're too afraid to talk about it, and they're too afraid to go get help. So if me having a couple more people that look at my stuff and me talking about it helps somebody and save somebody's life so that they don't end up like my friend did, then I'll talk about it. So at the time when all this was happening, I had just gotten back out of being in a behavioral hospital that I had taken myself to. And I stayed there for 10 days. It was right when the whatchamacallit, one night only, the Knockouts Knockdown was debuting. That was for Daff. So I didn't even get to watch the premiere. I was in the hospital during that. But it was, I had just lost Daphne. Literally a month before Daphne, I lost one of my really close family friends. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
And then just all the stuff that was going on with my marriage, and knowing I'm getting cheated on, but getting told that that's not what's happening. And then it was just a lot of things all at once. I did my time in the hospital with no support. I'm not going to go into details, but I did not have support where I should have at the time. When it was time for me to come out, I was picked up by the person who was the only person who could legally pick me up at that time, who had signed the suicide plan because I was suicidal at the time, dropped me off at home and left me. And then I was by myself again when I got out. And so I wasn't very mentally stable at the time when all of that happened. And then that was this is the weekend that it happened. It's coming up to a year from when I was served. And I was getting told something completely different the entire time while this person was out doing their thing for work that weekend. And I was told that they were going to come home and we were going to figure this out. And then I got papers on Monday. So no, I wasn't in a good place. And that's part of why things came out the way they did. And I'm not proud of it. But at this point, I've moved on. I cry because it hurt so bad to know I was right about some things and should have went with my intuition. And I never wanted to get married. It was never something I wanted to do. And then to have all that happen, it just kind of sucked. But it is what it is. There's a reason we go through everything in our lives. I believe that completely. And there was some lesson I had to learn from this. And I'm starting to realize that. I'm starting to come into myself. I'm starting to find the little girl that had so much hope and had all these dreams again, because she was gone. She was gone. I wasn't me anymore. And it's been hard. It's been a tough couple of years. But I wouldn't, as hard as it has been, I wouldn't change any of that, because I wouldn't be me right now if I did. So
how did you deal with, because I saw a lot of there was a lot of negativity, I feel like that I saw from, and I feel like comment sections of certain things are some of the most toxic fucking places you can ever go and read. How much negativity were you facing? Were you getting a lot of hate mail and stuff like that from fans?
Oh, I was getting death threats. I was getting death threats sent to my mother. I was getting death threats sent to my even farther out family members. I had people send death threats to my place of employment. I had people tell me that nobody would care if I died today. I had every horrible thing that you could think of came into my inbox. I had to shut down my Twitter. I had to shut down my I had to shut it all down. And I shut it all down for probably a month. I couldn't even look at it because it was so bad. All because people think they know somebody and they have no idea. They have no idea.
But that's the thing is, when you see you see a couple in a relationship, and it's I've seen people that are friends of mine and my wife, and it's they separate, and you go, "Fuck, really?" I did not see that, and it's people present what they want other people to see, but behind closed doors, and especially in relationships, nobody really knows what a relationship is like besides the two people that are involved in it, and it's in that bubble of that time. And I feel in your case, when it's so public as well, people necessarily they think they have a right to an opinion or a right to comment on it. Sending someone death threats regardless of how they feel about a situation, when I saw it and I saw things that were coming out, I do this with anything that I see with people in professional wrestling or any type of celebrity, is I'm not going to sit here and comment on posts and stuff like that, because it's like, as someone who's on the outside, you don't know the full story here. You don't know if this person is doing this just because they're trying to hurt this person's career. You don't know if this person actually did this and this person is the monster, and you don't know these things. So, I think people need to not comment on it and just listen to both sides of the argument. And hey, if you're for this person or you're for this person, that's cool. Go and support that person through this, but don't go and attack the other person, because at the end of the day, like that doesn't make you a good person. That doesn't make you some, powerful person by doing that. All it does is that just makes you a bully at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what's.
And absolutely. And were the consequences that he had to face because of some of the stuff I did pretty shitty? Yeah. Again, like I said, I should have behaved differently. I fully admit that. We both did horrible things to each other within that relationship. I fully admit that too. But I didn't make up. I
100%.
can't Photoshop what was there. It did happen. It is
Mm.
what it is. We have to live with it. And at this point, all I can say is I hope he finds his true happiness. He's with the person I thought he was with the whole time, and so that's cool. If that's what you wanted, I wish you would have told me that before you started dating her, but it's cool. We're separate now. It's been a year. Again, I hope he finds his true happiness. I'm very happy where I'm at now. I've made a lot of changes in my life, and I wouldn't be here without those experiences. So I'll say thank you even
Ha-
for it.
has there been any communication between the two of you since all of this about a year ago?
Fuck no.
That's completely cut, done, severed.
Other than through lawyers, fuck no.
But that's probably the best way to handle it right now. Oh, to be
Yeah.
honest, like, years later, maybe something can come down and there could be some sort of like civil thing about it. But even if there's not, you know what I mean? Like, don't put yourself
Honestly,
in this situation.
would I willingly put myself into this situation? No, but in a work capacity, if we were to be on a show together, I can do my job.
Yeah.
And that's that. I don't
Mm,
care. That doesn't bother me. We can work for the same companies, whatever. I
mm.
can do my job.
Do you
I
think there's
hope
going
he
to
would
be?
be man enough to do his too.
Do you think there's
That's all I'm saying.
promotions? Do you think there's promotions out there that would be hesitant to book you both on the same card?
Probably. But that's okay. I don't
Mm,
it is what it is, and I'm at a point in my career where I'm not looking to wrestle every weekend anymore. I'm looking to do what is important to me, and I'm looking to do what I feel like it is worth putting the stress on my body for. So it's okay. It's been, like I said, refreshing to take a step back and take a break for a little while and only do the things that are fun,
mm.
as opposed to all the mental hell I've put myself through for so many years, and I needed the break. And doesn't mean I'm done. I'm
Oh, no,
certainly
no, no.
not done, but
I mean, 32 is so young as well. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, compared to other sports, like that, like I feel like once you're in your 30s, like I feel like if you look at, football, rugby, soccer, all these other different sports, is like 32 is like, oh, you're getting to the point of like that's coming close to the end of your career. But I feel like professional wrestling, people really peak around like 36, 37 and older. And I don't know why that is. But I feel like once you're in your 30s, I think you're really sort of coming into your peak in the pro wrestling business.
yeah, I agree. Look at the first two that popped in my head when you said that were Mickey James and Taylor Wilde. Like, look at the two of them
Right?
right now. They're fucking hotter than they've ever been. I mean, they were always hot, but like, come on now, woman crush. And like, like they're great. Like, I want to grow up and be them someday.
Oh, absolutely. And like, you were signed to Impact for a couple years. How did you find working for Impact?
Impact was fantastic. Absolutely, like they actually care about their talent. Not saying that other places don't, but like they care about their talent. They care about what we have to say, and it really is a family. So it was a great experience, and I would absolutely love to go back if they ever would have me.
Yeah. Like when you were like in Impact, like during that time there, like near the end of your run, like when you sort of like you guys sort of split sort of yeah ways with each other. You know, I was reading that you denied your release for a certain period of time, and then it was sort of made to come out that you were released. Was there a particular reason why you sort of denied at the start?
I
Like,
mean, technically, I'm still signed right now. I was never released from my contract.
okay,
Technically, they're just not using me because I'm a per appearance contract. So it is what they're just letting it run out. So that's why I said no. I'm still signed technically. But it was if I don't remember the particular circumstances of
sure.
why I was holding on to it so long. At that point, there was a lot going on in my life.
Mm. Yeah, and I think that that's you know probably a lot of other things like people like read sort of so much into things as well. Like as you just explained, it was like, well, I was on a per appearance contract, whereas other people read into things in a different way. You know, it's just fun. Like I always find it funny how like, and I've said this like multiple times before, is like how pro wrestling is looked at so differently compared to other forms of entertainment, and the people involved in wrestling are looked at so differently compared to other performers in entertainment. Like I sit back and just like laugh at myself as like how different wrestling is, accepted in the entertainment industry.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. We're like the bastard child of the entertainment industry, I feel like.
The redheaded stepchild of
Yes.
of entertainment. It's a wild and crazy thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's
Woo.
just like you see wrestlers now where I feel like, and I had this conversation not too long ago, whereas like heels getting heat is like now because of the society that we live in, they've got to almost step on eggshells. It's like, oh, can I say that? Can I flip someone off? Can I do this? Can I do, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would be it's much harder for a heel now. And maybe it brings out more of a creativeness in being a heel, I feel.
It does. You definitely have to um not rely on but that's the thing too. So with working for Chikara for so long, I was never
Mm.
able to rely on this or fuck you or you any of those types of words. We had to figure out how to be heels and be PG. And I kind of took that. I think you're a better heel and you're absolutely a more creative heel if you can do it without having to swear, if you can do it without having to flip somebody off. It like if if all you have to do is like smile at somebody and do a look and you can walk off and you just pissed them off, like you're so much better. And so for me being that but I've always kind of gone like if I'm doing a heel, I do more of the chicken shit. I'm more of the one that's
Yeah.
like I don't know, the example that comes to me is like Max the Impaler. If they were to be in the ring and I was to be against them and they're right here and I'm like, nope. And I like that would be what my character would do. Hold on one second. I just flung my headphone across the room. I'll be right
No,
back.
that's all right. Go get it. But guys, make sure that we go and hit that subscribe, like, share button, all of that. Also, if you're tuning in on podcast platform, please go
All
and
right.
give us a 5-star review. I appreciate it. Welcome back, Kimberly. I just did a quick
Yes.
little plug there, so working on the fly.
Yes.
But, no, but that's exactly like I like those kind of heels as well because it's almost like the chest beater to a certain extent, and then they're put in a situation. Oh, whoa, no, no, no.
Nope,
But
I'm
I
out.
feel like I feel like that's how most heels need to be. Whereas, like, if a heel is like sitting there and then the baby face comes and the heel's like standing there like a badass, it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
you've got
We
to give
have
that baby face that shine.
we can't all be cool and we can't all do the cool moves. You'll get your turn. It'll
Yeah.
happen. But as the heel, my job is to make you want to see me lose. That's it. And then I win and I go, and then lose. That's a
But
heel.
what do you think? What do you think about like the cool heels and you know what I mean? Because I feel now like people want to be heels, but they want to get cheered.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. That's not what we're doing. That's not your role. That's that's not wrestling. We're not all cool. We're not MMA. We're not. We're telling a story. There has to be a villain and there has to be a good guy. It's what we're doing. And yes, depending on your storyline, how it's progressing, the heel can build up to doing cooler stuff. But when there's nothing there, why would you? You're gonna do the least amount of work to get the biggest reward. That's a heel.
100%. And like, but like, I feel as well, like, I don't know whether it's where the, like, some performers don't want to be that chicken shit or don't want to, like, but to me, I find like that's some of the most entertaining stuff, like in wrestling. Like, if you look at like Bobby the Brain Heenan and you go back and look at the stuff, like when I was a kid watching that, I looked at him and just going, oh, he's so like, damn it, I just want to see him get, like, I just want to see him get punched. But you know what? Like, it would build up until, like, you know what I mean? But he would go running the entire time. But by the time the babyface got their hands on him and they did that, the reaction of that was so much bigger because he went running from it the whole time. So when he did take that one bump in the angle, it meant so much more.
And then you don't have to bump 452 million times and we can do this longer.
Right. 100%. But that's the thing where it's like you see a lot of like, you know, the style of indie wrestling and like I don't even think it's necessarily the style of indie wrestling now, but I feel like every generation gets told from like the generation prior to them, you need to slow down, you're doing this too fast and stuff like that. Because it's like I remember like hearing a story that Ricky Steamboat and like that he and Flair got told by like the generation above them, what you guys is doing doesn't make sense. It's not believable. And that's Flair and fucking Steamboat. You know what I mean? Like probably one of the greatest rivalries in the business. And then it's like you see that getting passed down. And whereas like I think Ricky Steamboat was saying like he would never say that to like a younger generation because he got told that. It's like what people need to understand is the business has evolved and the wrestling evolves continuously.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything evolves continuously, and that's part of it. Is just everything's going to change, and you can go with the flow, or you can say, "Nope, it's my time to step out," and that's how it is.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever been like had like veterans pull you aside and sort of say to you, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong. You need to change things." Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
whether it's right or wrong, right?
Remember that whole Chris Dickinson incident? Yeah, when the power bomb heard across the world for a chair shot that happened at Beyond Wrestling. It went on like World Star Hip Hop and went viral.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a lot of people tell me I was ruining the business for women after that.
Really?
Yeah. I had one individual who I'm not going to name walk up to me and slap me in the face at a women's show and say, "What the fuck are you doing?"
What, legitimately slap you in the face?
Mm-hmm.
Female talent?
She was my female talent, and she was a veteran, and so I just had to sit there and bite my lip.
Can you say who it was?
Nope, not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it. I can't get you to break kayfabe on that one.
Not yet.
Yeah. Nah, fair enough. But fair enough. Like, what's your take on that when someone says that to you? Are you like, oh, whatever, or are you like, okay, cool?
I, from a very young age, because I grew up in ballet, I am very much I will listen to anything you say and go like this. But at the time, I was like, in my head, I was probably saying, "No, I didn't. You're just too scared to do what I'm doing," or something like that was probably going through my head. But I'm very much, I'll go, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just show the respect at least to that extent.
And I tell people that all the time, even when I was teaching dance, I'd say, you can take whatever I say and think whatever you want in your head. And I was like, but you better not let me see on your face what you're thinking.
But I think that's genuinely just a respect in a society kind of way. Like if someone's like talking to you, even if like what they're saying is completely ridiculous, I feel like you can always listen to someone's advice. Whether you take that advice is up to you. Like that's completely up to you. But like, and in the same sense, like I've got a friend of mine turn around and say like, oh, someone gives advice on this. He's like, okay, cool. But what have they done? Like, am I going to take advice from, how to drive a Ferrari for someone who drives a Hyundai? No, I'm not.
Exactly.
So like, why would I take advice from someone who's been a mid-carder on the indies or never been to a top promotion or done anything like that when I've already surpassed what they've done? So like, why am I taking advice from this person? And I can see that from some sort of sense, but also I think like some people, why they might not necessarily get to a certain level doesn't mean that their knowledge and understanding of what this is any less than someone else's.
Well, and then for me, if you want advice from me, I won't freely give it. I will never just come up to you and give advice. You have to come to me and ask me. I probably watched your match. I probably have something for you, but I won't tell you unless you come find it.
Yeah. I mean, because no one
that's
really
what I was taught by Drew. Drew said, you better go fucking ask people, or else you better not expect people to just come to blah, blah, blah. And he said, and I will never give you advice unless you, so that's just how I work now too. If you want my advice, you come find it.
But as well, I feel like you don't really want to be going up to someone and going, hey, can I give you some advice? Like,
right. Yeah. There's also that.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just like, you know what I mean? What's someone going to say to that? Like, no, thank you. Yeah. Like, I'm good. Like, you know, I feel like that's.
I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, but in my head, I'm like, this fucking guy.
See what I love like when I'm get to work on shows and stuff, and I hear fans like coming up after the show and going up to wrestlers and going, like, and the wrestler will go, hey, what do you think of the show? Yeah, good, but I really feel like your timing was off on a few things, and it was like my ears always pick up where I hear a fan like trying to critique the work of a wrestler, and I just go, oh, please, veteran, tell them more. Like, let me sit under this fucking learning tree. Tell me more, veteran. Like, it's like I had a fan
just show me how to bump real quick, please.
Yeah. Like I had a fan come up to me. Is like, oh, you know, I listened to your commentary on the last XYZ show. I've got some tips on how you can do it better. I was like, okay, great. Like, how many shows have you commentated on?
Right.
None. I was like, okay, how long have you worked in wrestling for? I'm not sure. Why? I said, because people who have actually reviewed that show and given me their feedback, and I'm going to go listen to that. So thank you. You know what I mean? Like, right. without doing it in a cunty way, of course. Right. So,
right.
There's always a way of doing it that way. So, or it can come across that way. So, but, you know, as far as yourself though, you know, you mentioned though, you're not sort of really, you know, taking every single booking that's coming your way. Is wrestling still a major like focus point for you in life?
Right now it's taken a back seat for the last couple of months, but I certainly want to come out and have at least one more big push, see what I can do. Australia is somewhere I have never been that is on my list. So I would love to go there. I want to tour Europe again. I want to go back to Japan. Like, there's stuff I still want to do. I'm not done. I'm certainly not done, but I just needed that time to find myself again. And like, even like, cause I was going through a lot of stuff in personal life, and then like that shoot job life, I was going through a lot there too, because I had started in vet med and I thought that was going to be like the thing I would do after wrestling. And then that turned out to be a whole shit show of itself. And so now I've actually, I'm getting ready to release the first episode of a YouTube series I've started, because I'm now living kind of out in the middle of nowhere in a camper on 2 acres of land and homesteading, because it's the cheapest option for me right now. It's kind of the thing I needed to get away from all the things that have me plugged in. I wanted to get away from cities. I get to go outside every night and see a full sky of stars. Like, it's beautiful. There's so many critters around me. Like, it's been great for the last about 3 weeks I've been here now. And I'm doing a YouTube series about it, and like doing my laundry outside and having a clothesline, and like you have to turn the water on if you want to. Like, there's just some things that are different, but it's been cool. So I'm excited to share that. And I'm also focusing on just some different things. There's different things coming, so you'll see.
So one of the things I wanted to ask, you know, after you mentioned, you know, the mental health stuff, the wrestling industry, I feel like, can be one of those really interesting things where it's like, if they almost like when you see someone struggling to a certain extent, it's like, oh, how far we can push this. Did you feel at any stage where like you were sort of having these sort of low times and these low moments? There were people there that were just going, how can we pile on this bitch right now? How can we keep putting on this? You know what I mean? Did you ever go through that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I still go through it. I still probably get one person a day that has something to tell me about how I'm the scum of the earth or insane or an alcoholic or whatever else they want to throw at me every day. Every fucking day.
How do you deal with it?
I don't look at it, honestly. Or I find great joy in just muting people so that they think they're talking to somebody, and then secretly I'm behind the scenes reporting them on Twitter, and then I get the notification that their account got pulled down. That's what's that's how I deal with it.
It's the little victories in life, right?
Like, and then uh like, or like kind of just poking them a little bit more just to get them to say the one thing that will definitely get their account pulled down. Like,
That's 100%. Yeah, it's that's a smart way of doing it. Just like poking the bear till they fuck up. So
yep. Oh, there's the hate speech. Report, report, report. Yeah, it's like you can't say that shit, guys. They will pull your account down. Like,
but I feel like arguing with someone like on social media, like it gets to a point where it's like, remember that one kid that used to eat the glue in school? Yeah,
yeah,
that's the fucking person you're arguing with in
really,
adult
it
form.
is.
Yeah, you know what I
It's
mean?
either that person in adult form or it's still the kid who is in high school eating glue because you don't know who's behind the keyboard. Like, a lot of times I'll go look and I'm like, oh, you're 17 years old and you like WWE. I get it now. Like, like
Yeah. Yeah, it's just yeah. I mean, the greatest thing about social media, it gives people a voice. The worst thing about social media, it gives everybody a voice.
exactly. So just I don't fuck. And like I've also come to the realization my partner I'm with now, he's helped me to be like, even shit, like people saying shitty stuff about you is people talking about you, and then your followers go up, and that's all that's really happening. So by all means, guys, like keep my name going because I just it helps me. Like,
It's like a saying I always say, "Hey, I need new haters because the old ones became my fans,"
mm-hmm.
and that pisses people off even more, especially the haters.
It's the truth though. Like
100%.
I have given that person who is saying all these terrible things about me not even a fart of a thought in my day, and they are so wound up that they had to get on their phone and like cool. Like I'm humbled that I get to you that much. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of
Living
a
rent free
superpower,
in their
really.
head, bro. Living
Yeah.
rent free in their head. It's like
Yes.
it's funny because like I've got like like a friend of mine who she's been in the business for years and worked for TNA at its infancy, and like she'll send me screenshots and go, "Bro, check this out. This person's actually having an argument with themselves in my DMs." And it's like the funniest thing, and it's like, but she'll send me like some of the craziest shit that she gets messaged, and I'm like, really, like you're getting and this is like a 42, 43-year-old woman, and I'm like, this is the shit that you still cop, and it's just yeah, it's insane.
Constant. Well, and when people start, like my mom has had to turn off all of her social media and stuff now because she got harassed so much. Like, and when people like say whatever the fuck you want to me, like don't
Mm,
say shit to my mother.
yeah.
That's crossing a line.
Yeah. I mean, like we as people, like we decide to put ourselves out there in a public light into a certain extent or whatever it may be, whether it's wrestling, podcasting, or any other form of entertainment. But I feel like that's a line that you cross when you start bringing in family members and shit like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a line that you don't cross because she didn't ask for that. I asked to be in the public.
100%. But it is that time of the show. It is time for 60 seconds with Piers. How this is going to work, I'm
Okay.
going to fire a bunch of questions off at Kimber Lee. She's got 60 seconds to answer as many as she can. Now, Kimber Lee, are you ready for me to start the clock here?
Oh God, I freeze. I freeze at time things, but go. Okay, we're
All right.
gonna do this.
All right. If you could, okay, so we'll start off. What is the most embarrassing story from high school?
Mm, I don't know. I don't get embarrassed. I don't really have one. Like
Worst,
I was always doing dumb shit. So
okay. Worst job you ever had?
working at Johnny Rockets for 2.5 years, dancing every half hour. Fuck my life.
What is the shittest gift you have ever given someone?
This like pizza stone that went around my family for like 5 years.
Which politician would you sit down and share a beer with or coffee?
Uh, Bernie Sanders.
If you came with a warning label, what would it say?
Uh, Caution, scary when silent. I don't know.
If you could delete one item from the world, what would it be?
Hunger.
What is something that you enjoy that you're embarrassed to admit that you like, kind of like a guilty pleasure?
Justin Timberlake.
What is your go-to song to sing at karaoke?
Santeria by Sublime.
What's your gross meal combo that you love but everyone else hates?
Peanut butter, pickle, and mayo sandwiches.
That's gross.
It's so fucking good.
In 5 minutes' time, you are being shipped out of space. What two personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
I'm taking my journal, and I'm taking Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
There you go. That has been 60 Seconds with Piers with Kimber Lee. This conversation, I got to say, has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it. I feel like this hour and 10 minutes that we've just sort of shared together has just flown by. I kind of
did not feel that long, that's for sure.
I'd like to get you back on for a part 2 because I feel like we were just really getting started. So
absolutely, let me know.
Absolutely, that's what I love to hear. But Kimber Lee, where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they support you? And whether it's Patreon, OnlyFans, or merch, wherever it is, but where can they find you and support you?
All right. For social media, it is all the same handle on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. It is at Kimber_Lee, Lee 90. Our Twitter and Instagram both have a blue check mark. We're working on the one for TikTok because I just started that. I just opened a Big Cartel store to get my merchandise, which is Kimberly Inc. LLC.bigcartel.com. If you want any merchandise from me, it is up on there. I also have an OnlyFans link now where it's not just pictures of me in lingerie. I also read books to you on there and do tarot card readings, lots of cool stuff. But I usually am in lingerie when I do it, so whatever. So my OnlyFans link is also onlyfans.com/Kimber_Lee90.
Perfect. Now, I end every interview with this question, Kimberly, and that is, what is one question that you wished I asked you in this interview that I didn't ask you, and how would you have answered it?
My headphone, I got, what is one question you would ask? And that's as far as I got.
So I'll ask again. The question I ask everyone at the end of the show is, what is one question that you wish that I asked you in this interview that I didn't ask, and how would you have answered it?
Oh God, I'm not good at being on the spot, guys. I don't know. I never know what I want to be asked. I just like having conversation. This is one of the more fun podcasts I've had because it was just a flow. Like you said, you didn't have written down questions. So I don't know what I'm an open book. There's still lots to ask about. So
100%.
Get ready for the next one.
100%. Get ready for the next one. But Kimber Lee, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Make sure you go and support, follow, share Kimber Lee on all social media. Go check it out. Go check out her new Big Cartel store. Also, check out our sponsor, sleeps.com. Use that promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. But we'll see you again very, very soon. From Kimber Lee and the Dad Bod God, we'll see you again soon. Take care. All the best. Peace.